So can you live in Germany on 1,000 euros a month? Yes and no. Let me explain. First up, probably the biggest expense, rent. I live in Munich, which is one of the most expensive cities in Germany, and if you're lucky and land student housing from the student union, you're looking at around 400 euros per month in Munich. And if you're really lucky, you might end up in the Olympic Village bungalows where the 1972 Olympic athletes stayed. Here's an offer I got in February in 2025, so spontaneously something freed up, and I got this email based on a first come, first serve approach, and I know quite a few people getting offers like that and not having to wait the typical waiting times you see on the main student union page, which is like 4 semesters usually. I have a video about how that's one of the most annoying things in Germany, so check that video out for more details. Also, if you want tips on how to secure affordable housing, I've lived in multiple cities in Germany as an international student, so check out that video as well. I always manage to find affordable housing using those ways. It's not easy finding housing in Germany, but if you dedicate a few weeks, probably even a few months depending on your luck, if you search consistently, I think you can find good options. I've heard of people paying also around 400 euros a month in shared flats, also known as WGs in German, but it's either further away from the city center and or has more roommates, etc. If you just take the first thing you can find, you can expect averages of closer to 600 to 700 euros a month in Munich, and the private single apartment, forget it, that's like even more. Let's assume you took the time to find affordable housing and pay 400 euros for rent. Also, that is more realistic in other cities in Germany, but it can even be done in Munich if you are dedicated. So we have a running total of 400 euros a month. Next up, food. So for groceries, I personally spend around 200 euros a month if I shop smart, let's say around 50 euros per week. If you're a functional eater and don't mind eating the same things every day, you can do even less, especially if you meal prep, for example. In terms of going out, let's say 100 euros per month, eating out a few times, grabbing coffee outside every now and then. The average restaurant meal could be around 20 euros, but can easily go much higher. You can have a different lifestyle, of course, but even if you go to the university cafeterias, the average meal is like 3 euros. So you also would be within this range that I mentioned. So I would say a good estimate, if you're mindful, would be around 300 euros a month for food. You now have the bottom 2 categories covered in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Love and belonging, we can skip if you are in engineering. So you're basically good to go. And for the higher layers, hopefully the whole university process is there for your personal and academic growth. So now you got a running total of around 700 euros a month. Next, transportation. So the MVG student ticket is 38 euros in 2025. MVG is the company operating public transport in Munich, but I like conservative estimates, so let's say around 40 euros. Munich is a bike-friendly city, so you can definitely do bike sharing or even buy a bike, but I believe most students use public transportation, especially in winter. So let's stick to that. So let's say transport 40 euros a month. So our running total is 740 euros a month. Next, health insurance. Unless your parents work in Germany and you somehow get the Familienversicherung, you need student health insurance. It's mandatory and costs around 150 euros a month in 2025. Most are cheaper, closer to 130 or 140-ish, but let's stick with conservative estimates. So we have health insurance at around 150 a month, which puts our running total at 890 euros a month. Finally, other expenses where your money goes. So the semester contribution, that's 85 euros a semester, which is 15 euros per month if you don't have to pay the high non-EU fees. And I'm talking specifically about TUM. Check out my recent video where I discuss that in more detail. You also may have Rundfunkbeitrag, so the TV and radio tax that every household has to pay in Germany. So this could be split with roommates if you live in a shared flat. Let's say a conservative estimate, in the worst case it's 20 euros per month since you pay it alone. The exact number is around 18 euros. Also, you probably have a phone bill, so let's assume it's 20 euros. I actually personally pay around 10 euros for 16 gigabytes with unlimited calls and text, and I know people with even better offers. Wi-Fi, let's assume also 20 euros. I did 15 euros with my roommate, for example, for a decent Wi-Fi, enough for streaming lectures, etc. I think it was around 200 megabits per second. So this sums up to around 75 euros per month for other fixed costs. So the final total, 965 euros per month. It's nice to have a buffer for random expenses and leisure time. So we'd have 35 euros to stay within 1K. Also, if you maybe have Spotify for students, which is like 5 euros a month, maybe also a Netflix subscription, let's say 15 euros a month, so 20 in total. It's become almost mainstream to have those, but of course it's by no means mandatory, so I left this for the buffer. So to wrap up, can you live on 1,000 euros in Germany? The biggest things, if you noticed, are your rent and your eating habits. Yes, you can live on around 1,000 euros a month if you are dedicated to find affordable housing and are super mindful of spending. But no, if you are an Uber Eats addict and are convinced you need the ChatGPT Pro plan for $200 a month. This is perhaps especially relevant for the German blocked account amount for 2025, which is 992 euros per month and around 11,904 euros per year. If you didn't know, students who need a visa to study in Germany may need to open a blocked bank account known as a Sperrkonto, in which they pay enough money for a year's cost of living before they can get their student visa. It may seem like a lot, but the good news is you can earn even more than 1k per month as a student, so I'll cover that in a future video. Some students never have to worry about these expenses for the duration of their whole studies because they come from a wealthy family, but I'm trying to include as many people as possible, so I hope it shows you that it can be possible. Let me know your thoughts about this, either if you are already living in Germany or are coming soon, or are just watching from a cheaper country with popcorn in your hands. Like and subscribe for more real talk on studying and living in Germany. Let me know if you have specific requests.